Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time for Pixel Chatter number 59. All right, how are we all doing today? Hope you're all doing well. Happy Saturday morning to you, wherever you are in the world. Might not be Saturday morning there, but it's definitely Saturday morning here. That is for sure. Who have we got in the chat box this morning? Some stuff to share with you today, which will be a bit cool. Something that happened that I can't believe I did that I'm going to share with you today. And yes, maybe it was that I took on the beauty sponsorship. Can you tell? Look at my hair. How good does it look? You guys crack me up. And along with all the normal things that we do on the Pixel Chatter show today, we have got the VIP challenge winners to announce. We're going to take a look at the editing challenge. Not sure if we're going to do any sort of winner for that, but I will share my picture, the picture that I did with the editing challenge, although I processed it a little bit differently, so we'll talk about that when we get there. We have got some news for you as well, which is sensational. I've got a couple of speaking gigs coming up in New South Wales, up north of Sydney. So I'll share those with you, locations and dates if you want to come along to my presentation about improving your landscape photography. And of course, we're going to critique a couple of images in the show. Well, as you know, Oki went missing a few weeks back when I was away on holidays, and I'm sad to say he still hasn't turned up. I'm very grateful for Andrew Dawes, who went and checked for me at the location, but he's still not around. So unfortunately, Oki's not here. But I'm going to send out messages hoping that I can recover him. First of all, I think it's really important to acknowledge the patrons, the guys that support this channel, guys and girls, I should say. When I say guys, it's a generic term. But there's a group of people called VIPs, very important photographers, and they make this entire channel possible. So really, really pleased to have that group of people. It's an amazing group, and we love hanging out together in our private online community, uploading images and encouraging each other to get out and shoot more. So if you want to be part of that group, the VIPs, head to patreon.com/on3legs. That's with the number 3. The link is down below anyway if you want to find that, which is cool. All right. One of the things that I said I was going to do last time, and I have done a lot more of them, is Facebook Lives. Hopefully you're enjoying those. Most of them were out on location, and I can see that certainly that seems to be the way to get more engagement on Facebook. People enjoy the live video sort of aspect on Facebook a lot more than just static posts, so really happy to be doing that. All right, let's have a look and see who we've got rocked up to the live stream. I'll go through quickly. Once again, chat is on my phone, so don't think that I'm just playing games on my phone whilst I'm live streaming. I'm certainly just checking the chat. Now, by the way, whilst I'm doing this, quickly checking the chat, there's a quick plug for my socials. If you don't already follow me on social media, please come and follow me. Connect with me, chat with me, join with me, all of those good things. Come and have fun, hang out. Alrighty. G'day Tim, g'day Aussie Paul. Who else we got here? Brian, g'day Brian. Nathan, good morning. Rick, good morning. Matt, it's fun to hear that you're also cheerful in the morning. I'm trying to keep myself awake. Sorry, Matt, I've made it later for you, haven't I? By moving it. Who else we got in here? Looks like Izzy's here. G'day Izzy. Susan, Anthony. Awesome. Chance. Gary, good morning, everybody. All right, so here's the big news. I'll start with the big news so I don't hold you in any suspense. Now, you all know that I've been sort of mucking around shooting with these Fujifilm cameras. This is the Fujifilm GFX50R. It's a beautiful camera. And despite what you're thinking, you're probably thinking, geez, Ben bought one. No, he hasn't. I can't believe, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you, I dropped it. I dropped this camera. Yesterday morning, I was out at the Blue Mountains and I was doing a vlog and I dropped this camera on the rocks. And there's going to be a video coming out with footage of me dropping it. It's really hard to watch because it was bad. And Yeah, but I thought I'd put the video together so I can help prevent other people making the same mistake that I made, because I dropped it trying to mount it into my pano head, and I suppose it's a good reason to have an L bracket. But you know what's good is, and you know, I told the guys at Fuji, and they were happy for me to share this on YouTube, because it does demonstrate the toughness of this gear. So I'm going to see if it'll focus. I don't know if it will. There we go. So I dropped it and it landed on this corner here. See that back corner? I don't know how well that's focusing. There we go. That's doing all right. And you'll see a couple of cracks around that little door on the bottom. So there's 2 cracks. Come on, focus. There we go. Now, I was horrified, as you can imagine, and you know, I'm still embarrassed by it, because in all my years, it rarely happens, let alone with somebody else's camera. This camera doesn't belong to me; it belongs to Fujifilm Australia. Once again, a shout out to the guys over there for letting me have a lens. And in the past, when I've dropped a DSLR, and I guess this is probably an argument for mirrorless, when I've dropped a DSLR, as soon as I've gone to use it, it didn't work. And I think it's very hard to shock-proof the inside of a DSLR. There's a lot of moving parts. But inside a mirrorless, I think it's much easier. I picked it up after saying sugar a few times, as you can imagine. I turned it off, I turned it back on, and started shooting with it again, and it was fine. So kudos to the guys at Fujifilm for building one tough, mean mother of a camera. Good work. So there you go. Now I'll have to buy it. Oh, Chance says that's it. Yeah, that's it, mate. Sorry. That was my big news. My big teasing news. But I'm grateful to the guys at Fujifilm for being understanding. You know, I sent them a message, sent them a picture, and you know, we're working things out. They're really understanding about it, that these things happen. But it is a great testament to their product, because when you see the video, when I release it in a couple of weeks of the actual drop, and you hear the crunching or the crashing, you'll know that it's, you know, it was a decent drop. Fell off the top of my tripod to the ground. So try doing that with a DSLR. I bet you it would not survive. In fact, I've done it before, and it doesn't. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things that were going on in the VIP group, and then I'm going to talk to you about. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that, and we'll go through the VIP challenge, and then I'll talk to you about the events that I've got coming up. So if you are north of Sydney, I will be travelling up your way at the end of this month, early March. I've got 2 presentations booked in. So hang in there, and I'll tell you exactly where they are. Pride says sugar doesn't start with an F. No, it doesn't. If only you were there. Interestingly, because of course I've got my microphone on, and after I look at it, I actually said something like, I can't remember exactly, but it'll be in the video when I release it. It's something like, "Thank God they build these things tough," and I said that to myself out aloud, and it is just, you know, this is the thing when you get up into the more pro series of cameras, whether it's Fujifilm or someone else, you know, they expect them to get knocked around, and I was really grateful that, you know, it didn't land the wrong way. Ironically, the lens that was on it, the 23mm lens, which is this one here, the 23mm lens for the GFX, which is the wide-angle lens that I've been using, has already been dropped before it got to me, and is booked in for a repair when it gets back. So it's actually already got issues. They were waiting on parts, and they said, "Do you want it with the issues, or do you want to wait till it's fixed?" I said, "Look, just give it to me with the issues, not a big deal." So now the lens and the body need a repair. But like I said, the guys at Fujifilm are really good and understanding. And I think for them, they understand that, you know, it's getting out there to be, I mean, it's part of the testing, really, isn't it? I mean, you don't want to deliberately go dropping these things, but it is a good test. All right. Yeah, last Fujifilm loaner for Ben. Yeah, maybe. It was very stressful. All right, so let's jump into the Facebook page for... I'm just going to switch across to my screen. So as I mentioned earlier, thank you to you guys that are supporting the channel month in, month out. I appreciate it. I love you guys. It's it's what makes it all possible, and I'll continue to invest all of the proceeds into building this channel, whether it's buying better vlogging gear, lighting, etc., which I have done. So I'm still in the red, but that's all right. I don't mind. I love the support, and every time I go on a trip or travel, I sort of write down the costs and I make sure I balance up the books. And one day I'm hoping that it funds some amazing trips. So for those of you that can't get on these, get away, I want to be able to take you away on some amazing trips, and also continue to build this free content. So thank you to the VIPs. All right. So what we're having a look at here actually is some of the photos from the VIPs, and I thought I wanted to just start there because, man, some of the stuff that's going on in the VIP group is just absolutely sensational. So this is Izzy. Izzy's in the chat today. One of his shots. Steve Algie, which is Spanner, he's in here as well. Of the salamander tree. Great shot, mate. Great shot. These aren't from any challenge. This is just me sharing some of the shots and giving the guys a shout out that are posting images in the group that are amazing images. Everyone's shooting great images. This is Tim. Check out the sharpness in those eyes. Tim, man, good shot. And so if you want to improve your photography inside the VIP group, we just have awesome photographers. Here's Rob Roy. A bit of snow up where he is in Washington, D.C. I think it is Vancouver, Washington, USA. Look at that. Beautiful shots. Another one from Izzy. Izzy's known for his longer exposures. Greg West. Look at this cloud formation. Look at that. We've had lots of storms in Sydney, etc. So another one from Izzy. Loves his black and whites. Tim Trim up north doing his showing us his images from up. This is like a 360, nowhere near 360, but yeah, it was a pano. A rainbow. They had a lot of rain up north. He's up in North Queensland. Check that out. How good is that shot? Well done, mate. This was me from a Stitch pano. So Izzy again. Izzy, guys sharing a bit about the gear they're buying. Look at this Greg West. So just all these great photos being shared in here. Therese Elsie, another very active member of the VIP group, sharing her photos from the Central Coast. So if you're looking for inspiration, it's a great place to be, the VIP group, because there's lots of people in there. People talking about gear. This is Paul up in up north. This was my old Wacom tablet that I sent to one of the VIPs to play with because they hadn't used one before, rather than buying one straight out. As you can see, lots of gear photos, lots of chit chat. All right, I won't bore you too much more with those, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what's going on inside. The caliber of the images we're seeing is awesome. All right, so I'm going to jump into the albums. So we've now got 2 challenges sort of running every between Pixel Chatters, or every couple of weeks, and outstanding pick of that box. I don't know which one that was. Anyway, we do a couple of challenges. So I'm going to share the first one with you. This is the first time we've done this. It was an editing challenge, and what I did was I uploaded this raw file. Now this was a JPEG of it, but I uploaded a raw file of this image, and this is an image that I took back in 2012, I think, from memory. And all of the VIPs got a go at editing it. So I'll just quickly flick through and show you what people came up with. There we go. Steve Algie, Therese Elsie. So it just goes to show you, Tim Trim, the differences in everybody's style of editing, Greg West, and the difference it can make in the final product. Here's Brian Willett, Paul Goody, Ren Thielen. Nice and warm colours there. Mats Sandquist, Stephen Cast, beautiful. Tommy Halberg, I think Tommy's was the last one. Yeah, so you can see many different sort of takes on it. Now I'm going to show you my final edit on this image, just so you can see what I ended up with. So this is the final image that I ended up with, and I cheated a little bit. Mine's HDR, so I actually had a couple of different exposures blended together. But it was good to see what everybody came up with. And we're going to do another one. I'll upload another image after the show. We'll put another raw file up there for people to play with. So it was a good exercise, and good on you for those that participated, because it does sort of stretch your thinking. Now, when we're talking about editing, by the way, one of the things that has happened as a result of my using these Fujifilm cameras is I was speaking to the guy from Fujifilm, one of the team over there, about the files, and he said, "Are you using Capture One?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you should, because it's been optimized for the Fujifilm files." So I started using Capture One, and I'm actually really impressed. I'm liking it. And for those of you that don't like subscription-based software, Capture One has a perpetual license, so you can buy it once and be done. Now that means you get that version. You probably have to pay for upgrades. I don't know, I haven't been hanging around it enough, but certainly an option for those of you that want to stop having to pay by the month. Now it would take a couple of years for it to be in a better position, but if you decided that you were happy with the software and that was it, then it would do you for the long term. All right, here's a quick sip of my coffee. Sending subliminal messages out to Oki. I wonder if he's about somewhere. Yeah, so I've been using Capture One. So I don't know if anybody else here uses Capture One, but I've been using it, and it's been really good. The difference I've found is it's much better for recovering highlights, Okay, just checking the chat box after going through those pictures. Nice pictures, guys. Yep, very inspiring indeed. Outstanding pick of that box. Not sure what that was. Chance says, "Don't say Rob is in Washington, D.C. It's full of corrupt politicians. Washington State is full of beautiful photos." Oh, sorry. What? Washington, Vancouver? Is that right? Vancouver, Washington. I don't know. Geography. Capture One point of view. I'm modifying Lightroom. You can cut it. Buffering, right? Just typing into here, my internet is struggling. There we go. I don't know why, but today, for some reason, the internet does not want to play ball games. Anyway, let me maybe stop this preview here. That might help. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's jump back into the VIP group. Oh, yeah, you're seeing my YouTube page there. Whilst I was trying to work that out. Alrighty, let's see how we go. If only Oki came back as quickly, it'd be good, wouldn't it? All right, let's jump into the challenge for the week. So the challenge this week was picked by the last challenge winner, which was an open theme, and this challenge was abandoned. So this was picked by Ren Thielen. So good work, Ren. Great theme for the challenge, and I think everybody maybe. So I'm reading the comments at the same time. I shouldn't, because it's making me laugh. Maybe Earl will make an appearance today. Oh dear, that's no good. Anyway, Ren Thielen won the challenge, and he came up with abandoned as our next theme. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through these images for the VIPs. And as I said, the VIPs get these challenges every couple of weeks. There's no prizes. There's no, there's no pressure. There's everyone's winners because we're out taking photos. But the boss goes through and picks a image that she feels is her favorite, and then picks an honorable mention as the runner-up. So, these are always subjective, and, I love people just to get out there and take photos, and really that's what I like to encourage, is getting out there and taking images. So here we go. So here's the first one here by Steve Algie, who is in the chat box here today, which is Spanner, an abandoned old dairy at Annambar House of Maitland. Beautiful. Great stuff. Steve Algie, abandoned old oyster lease not being used anymore. Yeah, it does make for a great subject to photograph, doesn't it? Beautiful. Look at that. Nice long exposure too. Look at how the water's smooth and those monotones. It's a good example too of what you can do if the weather's a bit grey. Oh, I like this. Renthelan, abandoned farm building near Pingley. I hope I pronounced it right. Pingley in WA wheat belt. Added a bit of photo art with textures and sepia conversions, including a pano crop. Taken in midday, so the light was a bit harsh. But yeah, I could see the light being a bit harsh. Maybe come back at another time. But I love the processing that you've done on that. Nice and creative. Abandoned on the beach. A later day Harold Holt. Who knows? Does somebody belong to this stuff? Somebody out swimming, are they? Maybe. Who knows? Hope Beach, beautiful. Michael Healy, abandoned. Noel and Mary Fords of Fords Pills fame. Riverview property on Fords Headland, Mimosa Rocks National Park, Tathra. Beautiful, Michael. By the way, I'll give Michael a quick shout out. He looks after the Big Four down there in Tathra. If you want to go down there and stay somewhere, hit Michael up and get him to hook you up with some accommodation whilst you shoot the local scenes. I'm sure he'll also be more than happy to give you some of the photography hot spots in return for your being a great customer. Alrighty, another one from Michael here. Abandoned Boyd's Tower, Ben Boyd National Park, south of Eden, New South Wales. Beautiful. It was a lookout tower for whalers. There you go, a relic from our whaling past. Wow, this is cool. Stephen Cast. Abandoned motor in Cutareri Wharf. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. These New Zealand names always get me stumped. Brian Willett, Cressy General Store, cold and windy wet day, but I think that suits awesome. That's a great old building. Look at the character in it. Good find, Brian. That's nice. I like it. Another one. Okay, Corindi Hap House, circa 1836. Also excellent. Nice subject, isn't it? Love that. See, look at the roof, and they've tried to patch it up or something with some something. I don't know. That's cool. Stephen Cast, abandoned on the path. Yeah. Bloody smokers, pick up your cigarette packets. But interesting take on it. That just shows you that the theme can be whatever you make of it. Renthelan, abandoned farm buildings, Waroona, WA. Slowly falling down. Yeah, definitely. Interesting that they've got a coconut tree or palm tree in front of them. Farm shed junk, extreme crop and zoom. Once again, they're pretty cool. Very creative. Matt Sanquist. Sometimes the time is not enough because of work one weekend and the fact it's still dark here already at 5. Obviously, Matt's is in the other end of the world where the days are short at the moment. So he said, I only had Sundays an open window to fix something and really tried. He said then it started to rain like cats and dogs. So this photo is somewhat old. So he didn't get something recent, and that's one of the rules of the VLP challenge. If you can't get something recent, you can submit something from the last 90 days. But South Coast of Sweden on a very great day. But yeah, pretty good stuff. Thanks for submitting something, Mats. We love it. Tim Trim, the old pier at Cairns Wharf Terminal. Oh, I love it. I love these old broken wharfs and jetties. Look at the detail in that. It looks great. Burnt out old car at Mariba to Mount Molloy Road, Tim Trim. Yeah, that's cool as well. That is an old car as well, isn't it? It's also been burnt and then weathered for many, many years. Brian Willett went out 4 times to try and get a good shot of this old house, but wind shutter played havoc on 3 of the 4, and the other time no memory card. But I think you've got it finally. I love the way these sheep are watching you. Good pano. Nice pano. All right. That's it. So that's all the entries. All right, let's find the honourable mention. There's the honourable mention there. Boyd's Tower is the honourable mention. So well done, Michael, for shooting that one. And then the boss's favourite out of the shoot is Tim Trim with the old pier at Cairns Wharf. So well done, everybody. But congratulations for Tim for getting the favourite. And if you... now that you're the winner, so you've got to choose the next theme. So you've got to let me know within sort of 24 to 48 hours what the next challenge theme is going to be. That's your job now, Tim. and then I will set the challenge up. But well done, everybody, for participating. Let me get rid of that. All right, and it's always good to see people jumping into that. So let's have another sip of coffee and just send a subliminal message out to Oki. There's my subliminal message. All right. Yeah, I have a bad feeling I left him on the beach that day, and then maybe the birds picked him up, kids picked him up, or, I mean, we were out of the way. It's not somewhere where many people go, or maybe the water flushed him away when the tide came in. I don't know. But it's a bit upsetting. Anyway, I'll have to find another Oki. Just going through the chat. Jeff Bannon. G'day, Jeff. Welcome to the live show. He said, I've been watching you for a while. Great to finally catch you live. I enjoy the sense of community you bring to YouTube. Hey, mate, thank you. That means a lot to me. I'm glad you enjoy it. And it's what I'm all around. Oh, there's Mike Healy saying thanks. So I hope I didn't dob you in too much there. People will now want all the local spots. But I'm planning on coming down, Mike, soon. I want to come and stay with you. And or maybe I was thinking about going to where Camel Rock is, the Big Four at Bermagui. So maybe we can do that. Let's what else we got here? Jim, the grumpy photographer, he says, I'm late just in. I was out selling my body for the new GFXR. Yes. If I was doing that, it would take a lot of time. I don't think anybody wants this body. Nathan, see, start a video. They might have one going cheap soon. Yes, they might. Funny buggers. Funny buggers. All right. Looks like I've gone through everything there. Now you've got to engage brain. Yes, you do. A fisherman used him as bait. I hope not. It's possible, I suppose. It's possible. All right, so a little bit of other news for you as well. Tassie is just about full. I think we've got 6 or 7 now from my... I think 6 maybe from my group and a couple from Michael's group. So it's going to be a very on 3 legs heavy sort of a trip if you want to come and hang out. What I'm going to do is for everybody that comes along... on the once we get back to Launceston after the Tassie trip. Now, just so if you don't know what I'm talking about, last year I took 2 groups with a good friend of mine, Michael Snedek. He runs photography tours throughout the world. He just got back from Antarctica. But man, you should see his pictures of penguins and seals and, oh my gosh, whales. Anyway, he runs workshops all over the world, and his company is called Wild Nature Photo Expedition. So if you want to check that out, you can go and check that out. And together we last year ran a couple of workshops at Cradle Mountain in Tasmania. Now I love Tassie. I love the landscape down there, and Cradle Mountain in particular. Now I've been there 4 or 5 times now, and I'm heading back there again in May of 2019, so in a couple of months, and I'm taking a group of people through there with Michael. Michael runs these workshops all the time. He runs a really good workshop. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not organising it. I'm simply just going along with a group. So he runs the workshop. Together, though, we run the workshop, of course, and you get tutoring from us. You get to visit these amazing locations, and you get to hang out with us for a week doing all things photography. And what more fun is that than hanging out with other photographers for a week in such an idyllic location? And the good thing about the Tassie landscape is, doesn't matter what the weather's doing, there's always something you can shoot. And I think it surprises people when they come along to the workshop, because there's always a day or two where the weather's not ideal, but it's not ideal for what you would generally shoot, but it's ideal for other things. So we jump into the forest, we do macro photography with fungi, we go and visit waterfalls, rainforest photography, which can be really challenging. Those places are busy places. So we do have a couple of spots left. The link is down below. If you want to come and join me in Tasmania, just get yourself into Launceston, and from there we'll pick you up in a bus and bus you up to where we're going and take care of you for the entire week. All meals, accommodation, everything included. The only thing you got to pay for is your flights to and from Tassie, and any additional nights you spend in Tassie outside of the 4 nights that we put you up for. And of course, any alcoholic that you drink, you have to pay for. but that's fine. I'm sure that's pretty much expected. Otherwise, Michael does an amazing job of catering for everybody and looking after you. So we have a great time, and we'd love to see you there. And we're only doing one workshop this year. Last year, we opened up a second one once the first one sold out. But we're not doing that this year, as I think Michael's just got too much on. So there you go. So we'd love to see you there. Where are we? Bose Beaver, hi Ben, the Netherlands is watching, or at least one. G'day Bose Beaver, thanks for joining us. I still have the calendar on sale too. I know it's getting later in the year now, but if you do want one of my calendars, I've got 6 or 7 left, and I'm just doing free shipping worldwide, which means that you're basically just paying cost price for what it costs me to print it. But if you'd love to have my images hanging up in your house for the rest of the year, that is a good way to do it. And I mentioned before some speaking gigs that I've got on coming up north. So if you're in New South Wales and you want to catch up with me in the next few weeks, I will be at Belmont Photography Club on the 27th of February, which is a Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And I'm doing a presentation on improving your landscape photography. So that's Belmont Camera Club. So anybody in the Central Coast are up there, if you want to come and say g'day, just contact that group and let them know that you're connected with me in some way. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to have some guests come along to the presentation. And then I am at Foster Digital Camera Club or Photography Club on March the 2nd at 10 a.m. So the reason I'm telling you that is that's a Saturday morning, and that would be 2 weeks from today. And hence there won't be any Pixel Chatter for 3 weeks because I'm going to be away. But feel free, if you're up that way, to come and see me at Foster Digital Photography Club, March the 2nd at 10 a.m. The other thing I will be doing is I'll be shooting up that area. So between Wednesday and Sunday, I'll be out and about on the North Coast. So if anybody's up there wants to catch up for a sunrise sunset shoot, let me know. And we can possibly make it happen, so long as you don't mind being on YouTube, because I'll probably be recording vlogs as I go through it. Alrighty. Paul Heffernan, hi from London, visiting from Sydney. G'day, Paul. How's the London weather right now? Bet you it's cold compared to here. Alrighty. Let's jump into the critiques then for the show, which is really what it's all about, and hopefully everything's going to work for me here as I jump into Lightroom. Now, funnily enough, I haven't used Lightroom for a couple of weeks. I have just been using Capture One, and I'm going to do a video on Capture One. I'm just getting this out of my system first because I've got to give it back during the week. So I've got a couple more videos I want to do with the GFX 50R. And if you've got any ideas for videos with this in my last few days that I have with it, let me know. But I'm just using the questions that I'm getting in my comments on the videos I've already done to give me ideas of what people want. I'm going to go and do a low light test with it. I haven't done a night shoot for a while, so I was thinking about trying to do that before I give that back and do a low light comparison between the 50R and the D850 just to get a real true sense of the differences. Although I'm a bit hesitant because the last comparison video I did, I've got a lot of people upset that I'm not a scientist and that I'm not very technical. But anyway, I can't please everybody. I'll give you my opinions as a photographer rather than anything technical, because if I try and do anything technical, I'll definitely screw that up. All right, so let's jump into Lightroom. Here we go. So today we've got 2 images, one sent in from Brian Willett, which is the one on the left here, and then one sent in from Ren Thielen, who was our challenge winner 2 weeks ago, who selected that abandoned themes. He went and took a photo of Sugarloaf Rock here, and has sent me a really big file in a DNG, which is going to be interesting to see if my computer crashes or not, but I'm going to play with it. If you can have a look, it is a panoramic image that is 10,433 pixels wide. So it's a 100 megabyte image, but I thought it would be good to see how we go, given the fact that I haven't had problems for a long time, touch wood, with the gear. All right, so let's jump into Brian's here. Brian Willett, who I believe is in the chat box, also a decent sized file, which is good, 6,000 pixels on the longest edge. It looks like he's cropped it to 4:3, sort of like a medium format crop. I really like this image, by the way. It speaks to me straight away. I love the reflections. And he said it's the backwaters of Lake Rosebery, Tulla in Tassie. You know, you just can't beat Tassie. Have a look at that landscape. It's just beautiful. All right, so a few things going on here. Let's talk about technical aspects, so settings on the camera. So Brian has shot this with a D750 with the 24 to 70 2.8 lens, which is a beautiful lens, ideal for this type of thing. And at ISO 100, shot it at 24 millimeters, 1/50th a second at f11. Now, if all of those things are good. ISO always as low as you can go. Really recommend that because it reduces your chance of getting noise in your picture. As for the shutter speed and the aperture, I don't know if it was handheld or not. Maybe you could tell us in the chat, Brian, whether this was on a tripod or handheld. I'm going to guess tripod, but I could be wrong because it is a speed that you could get away with this handheld as well. If you were standing nice and still. Now, a couple of things. There are times when people say, oh, you should use a circular polarizing filter to get rid of the reflections. And you may or may not have done this, but in this case, the last thing you want to do is get rid of these reflections. I mean, have a look at how good the reflections are in this water. Now, if you have a look close here, you can see the ripples in the water. It was on a tripod. You can see the ripples, so there is a little bit of rippling, but when you get nice glassy water like this, you look for the reflections. And the temptation for so many people would have been to try and get the sky in, but I actually think this is so much better. Now, my only criticism from the composition point of view is that you've got these power lines here. Now, you could have probably Photoshop them out if you wanted to. And I know it's me that I don't like those sort of things in nature shots, if I can get rid of some of these things. But it's 100% okay to have them in there. So once again, short photo. I would have been tempted to shoot this portrait rather than landscape. And I'll show you why. Let me just go into the crop here. I'll show you why, what I think would have worked really nicely. And remember, it would have been this wide, not square. But I'm gonna crop it so it's something like that. There we go. So to me, that removes that pole out, and this line just leads your eye into the picture. So I don't know if you took some portrait as well as landscape, but a good trick is when you are out shooting, it's very, it's not natural to turn your camera on the landscape, from landscape to portrait rather, all the time. So a lot of people don't do it, but I think that would have worked lovely as well. Like I said, there's not a lot I can pick on about this photo. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great shot. The colours are good. I think the composition is good. All of that's good. I would also just watch out for things like movement or aperture. So the f11 is a good aperture, but you can see down the foreground here is not quite sharp. So either focus stack, crop it out, or take a higher shutter speed. So get a faster shutter speed happening. And if you're on a tripod, you could have gone a slower shutter speed if you wanted to, and closed up the aperture, definitely, and that would have fixed that problem. So, but otherwise, so you can see that I've got rid of a lot of that blurry foreground. Just great shot, man, great shot. Even if I was to do my pano trick, let's do that. No, I'm going to get rid of all the reflections if I do that. Not as good. Still lovely. Oh, I don't know exactly where this is, but I need to know because I'd love to go there. It's a great location. Just things like this. I mean, look at how sharp the reflections are. And that's just because it's glassy water. So if you see that, then make sure you head there. So besides removing the power lines, I wouldn't say there's a lot you could do. Just watch your exposure as well. I can see a little bit of highlight clipping just here. It's only minuscule, but it is there. It could do with a little bit more contrast. I'll add just a little bit, just so you can see how that will work. Well, we'll give it a bit of dehaze. And let's just bring the highlights back just a little bit and bring that exposure up just a tad. Vibrance down just a tad. There we go. Something like that. Before and after. So just a bit more contrast. Probably just going to drop the highlights a bit more. And I'd probably do a little bit more selective editing, but you can see just by adding that contrast what it's done also to the reflection, how much nicer and defined the reflection is. So that's the other thing you can do with something like this. If you want to really enhance this, grab a brush, and I'm just going to turn my mask visibility on. Oh, why did it do that to me? Give me my brush. So now I'm confused between my two. Give me the brush. There we go. Between my two apps. So I'm just going to do this. There is another technical thing I'm going to do in a minute. Let's just have a look and see. It doesn't let me. Show me the mask. And I can auto mask that. So if I just go along those edges, it's going to auto mask those edges. Let's just drop the exposure for a second so I can see what I've masked. I'm going to finish masking that. See how it's auto masking around those edges? So just tick that auto mask box and that's what you get. All right, I'm going to bring the exposure back up. But now watch, all I've done is mask this area with a brush, and I'm just going to dehaze it just a tad. And you'll see what will happen. Let's just warm the temp up a bit because I've now lost a bit of that warmth. Maybe a bit more contrast, a bit more clarity. You can now I'm going overboard, but I just want to show you what you can do with a little bit of selective adjustments. So before and after. Not the greatest, but having a crack. Now down here, just be really careful. There's a couple of things I can see, and I don't know. Did I do that, or was that already there? No, I didn't do that. So it looks like there's been something you've done here, Brian, with a repair, with a brush that I can see. I don't know if you can see that. So just before you finish an image, just go through and now you get that's even more obvious now. Anyway, just go through and check things. I can see a couple of dust bunnies here, so just get rid of those. What's this one here? There's another something there. I don't know why that's not working very well. Let's feather it out more. Come on, doesn't like it. I'll just bring the opacity back a bit, see if that fixes it. Oh, that's it. I want this one here now. Let's adjust this one, feather it out more. Just drop the opacity back a bit to try and hide that. There we go. Oh, now this one looks terrible. My repair here because I was adjusting it too much. So let's just go to a nice big feather. That's the trick, is you need a big feather on these spot removals just so you can't see them. Yeah, so just with these, just be careful. There's definitely some stuff going on there that I can't get rid of easily. There's one here. So just, when you do any repairs like this, just double check. I think I put that one there before myself, so I'd ignore that one. But yeah, just go through and check for spots. It's really simple to do. Zoom yourself right in. Like I usually go really crazy like this. And then on a Mac, you just press function on the left arrow and it takes you up to the top corner. And then just hold your function key down and hit your down arrow. And it will go through the entire image frame by frame. And if you watch over here on the left, you'll see where the frame is. You'll see how it's working its way through the image. And it allows you to check every square inch of the image. So you can then make sure that you don't have any spots in there. Because that's I've seen that myself. I've printed an image, paid to get it printed, and then found a spot. And that's always pretty disappointing. Is there a bird on the white rock? It says Tim. White rock. This one over here. This one here. Not seeing any birds. None there. Fantastic image, mate. Love it. Love it. Really nice shot. Good composition. Good colours. Good settings. I'm just picking on the little things. There's nothing really there to do. So well done, Brian. Nice shot. All right. Let's now have a look at the next one, which is, get back to here, which is going to be this big one. And hopefully everything works okay. Okay, let me go to fit. Okay. Now this is a good example of balancing your exposure. Let me just put that up on the screen. Let me have a look and just see what's going on in the chat box quickly, and then we'll go to that. We've got a few minutes left, 15 minutes. Oh, you tried to remove the power pole? Yeah, it's not easy. And that's why sometimes the best thing to do is just crop it out. Come up with a composition where it's not in there. It would be difficult, and I could do it in Photoshop, but it would take, it would take a little bit of work to get it looking good. Maybe cropped now. Okay, sorry, I cropped it out. Yeah, but good shot, Brian. Well done. All right, let's take a look at Ren Thielen's shot. Here we go, Ren. So this is Ren's pano from Sugarloaf Rock. Now, Sugarloaf Rock's a beautiful spot down south of WA, down south of Bustleton Jetty. So when I was at Bustleton, I was lucky enough to visit it, but I visited it in the middle of the day. I'd love to get back there. And as you can see here, the sun is coming up. So that's the sun coming up just there. And these highlights are really quite bright compared to the rest of the image. And so it is about balancing it. The other thing is, this is a pano. So I know this because it's 10,400 pixels wide. So this is not a crop. This is a pano of I don't know how many images. Ren might be able to tell us if he's in the chat. So, well done on that. There's no lines in between it. I can see a lot of dust bunnies, and I'll come to those in a second. And it's telling me that you've shot this at ISO 100, Nikon 7200, ISO 100, 18 millimeters. I don't know how many images you stitched together. With the 18 to 35 mm f1.8 lens, which is a cracking lens, an older lens, but a good one, at f10. So all of those things are good. I can see, without even zooming in, I don't know if you can see all those spots across the top of the page. If I go to, let's just go into fill. Can you see those spots? So just be really careful, and you can see they're sort of repeating. So they're on each frame. And you're not going to get rid of that, right? That just is, without cleaning your sensor every day like you clean your teeth, you're not going to get rid of it. It's just the reality of digital photography. So I'm just going to get rid of that left menu for this. If, you see, if you check your images and they're there, don't get too cut up about it. There's not a lot you can do about it. You just got to clean them up later. And the good thing about any of these software programs is they make them really easy to sort out. Now, from a technical point of view, everything is shot well. Composition-wise, it looks good. I love where you've put Sugarloaf Rock. Now, for those that are wondering which rock is Sugarloaf, it's this great big one here. And you can see that it's right on one of the intersections on the rule of third, and that makes it work really, really well. So from a pano point of view, love it. Obviously, it's extremely dark in the foreground, so I'm going to try and brighten that up and put a bit of work into fixing this image up. So let's start doing a bit of editing and see how we go. So first thing I would do is I'd bring these shadows up. Now that is creating a bit of a problem because I've now got a group of people in the foreground here, but I could remove those probably in Photoshop easier than here. I won't try it here because it'll just probably be messy, but I would definitely try and remove those. I'm going to bring the highlights back a bit, and I'm going to then increase the exposure a tad as well. I think it needs warming up a bit. Somewhere about there. Okay, starting to come good. Adjusting the whites and the blacks. Now I've got a really good file size here to play with. So normally I wouldn't have this sort of opportunity, I don't think, to really give this a push. So just try not to lose too much detail in the foreground there. I'm going to warm it up just a tad more. Try and get that nice natural feel because it's very cold. There we go. And sometimes until you bring the exposure up, you can't always see that's happening. Something makes me want to just crop it a bit tighter to get the left in a tad. Something like that, maybe. Just a little bit. There we go. And now it is a matter of doing things like working out what are the heroes in the shot. So I would add a bit of contrast overall and a bit of dehaze, which is going to give more definition to the sky. Now, I am blowing out slightly over here. See these reds in those highlight areas? I'm blowing out, but there's not a lot I can do about that. So I'm just going to live with those blown out parts and just know that that's going to happen. End of story. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I've sort of done a bit of an overall. I'll give it a bit of vibrance. I'm going to warm it up a little bit more. I want to get rid of this here. I just want to make sure I get the colour balance nice. Now I can see if you want to get good colour balance, then use your picker. Try and pick something where the three numbers are all very similar. So let me bring this down again just to show you. So you grab your little dropper and find something where the numbers are all similar. So you're looking for something that has a good balance between the red, green and the blues. So if you can see, those numbers are pretty close. No, not going to work. If you can see the numbers down the bottom, because it's so cold, it's not going to find anything. So I'm going to warm it up a bit. So once you get it close, if you hover over the top, you'll start to see some of these numbers really coming close together, like 24, 22, 24. So if I click on that, it's starting to get a better idea of adjustments. So, with this tool, it is easy to sort of just adjust your white balance to something more natural. And that's what that little eyedropper thing is for. But you can add your own flair. If you like it a bit warmer, then warm it up a bit. I quite like having mine a bit warm. Now, I like that so far. I'm going to just brighten up the foreground a little bit more. Now, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a graduated filter. I'm going to use a range mask on luminance. And I don't know if you can see that here on the right hand side. I'm just going to get rid of the highlights out of my mask, and I need to show the mask, so I'm just going to tick that box so you can see what I'm masking off. And I need a little bit more brightness, a little bit more. So I don't want to affect the sky too much. I just want to, and not even the water so much. I just want to increase the rocks a little bit. Okay, so that's it. That mask now I can get rid of, and I'm just going to increase the exposure on the rocks. Okay, just like that. And you'll see when I do this, when I show you the mask, you can see where the mask is. It has got the water a little bit, but I'm really just aiming to get the darker spots. I'm just going to increase that smoothness a little bit, maybe back here a bit. And that's my goal, is just to really only pick up the darker spots, but not the sky. And so you can sort of see how just those adjustments alone. Let's go to before and after. See the difference in that picture? Okay, so that's looking good. All right, now let's grab the brush and we'll do some real local adjustments. I am going to go with some clarity, and I'm just going to go to 100% with this brush, and I'm going to let it auto mask because I don't want it to affect the sky, and I'm just going to brush clarity onto this Sugarloaf rock. Now the way the auto mask works is your brush sort of has a couple of lines in it. So if you keep the inside circle line on the rock, then you'll auto mask to the edges. Now you can see straight away by looking at that, if I come back to that you can see the let me just press the O so you can sort of see where I've masked. You can see the auto masking is working. If I go along the edge of the rock there, as long as I keep the inside circle on the rock, it won't let the mask go on the sky. And that's what I want. I don't want to put clarity on the sky. I just want the rock to have the clarity, because what that'll do is give it a lot of definition. Now, if you do go over the lines, it's not a big deal. You just press your Alt or Option key and it turns it into a minus, like an eraser. Or if you've got a tablet, just turn your pen over and use the eraser. Okay, there we go. So that's looking pretty good. Just need to get the tip of this bit of the rock here. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So now what I can do is just bring that clarity back a bit. It's probably a bit too full on. I'm going to dehaze it a bit. I'm going to give it a bit more sharpness. I'm going to increase the exposure just a tad on that rock. Not too much, otherwise it's going to look very unnatural. Increase the contrast. Yeah, a little bit more dehaze works, sort of the same. Which means I can now give that exposure a little bit more of a hit. There we go. All right. So this rock is the hero, and you can see now how much detail is in that rock compared to before. It's a big difference. So you can really see that rock, and it really stands out. Now what I'll do is I'll get another brush, and I'll add some to the foregrounds as well, not as with as much, I guess, care, because I just want to give it a little bit more so the other rock doesn't seem out of place. Something like that. I would definitely try and remove these people. It's not going to be easy on this file, but I would definitely. The other thing I would do is get rid of these spots. So let's just see if we can do a little bit of that. Let's go to 8:1, and let's just do 4:1. So it's not. I'm not here all day. Function left arrow puts me in the top corner. Let's select our dust bunny removal tool and just go through frame by frame and look for the dust bunnies. They are there. I saw lots of them. There we go. So here's some here. Let's just see if we can get rid of these dust bunnies. And you'll see it'll make a huge difference to your end picture. And I'm just going to do this rough. I'm not going to worry about what it selects. You get the idea. You've done this before, I'm sure. I'm not even going to watch what it replaces it with, so I could end up with the rocks in the sky, but we'll just see what happens. Sometimes Lightroom does wacky things, that's for sure. So I'm just going to go through, and I can see these same two spots keeps coming up. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do if you are getting dust bunnies, is send it off to Nikon. They'll clean it for you. And if you're part of the MPS, which is the Nikon Professional Services, I think they do it for free. I can't remember. I've never had to pay for it because I do it myself. I find that easier than being without my camera. That's option 2, is just get the gear and do it yourself. A little bit more daunting, but it's quite simple to do if you're careful. But sometimes it can just be a little bit of dust that you could blow out. So don't be afraid to just try and give it a good blowout with some compressed air. Just make sure your can's turned upright if you're going to use compressed air, because you don't want moisture in there. That can damage your sensor. Of course, if you're just too scared to do it, don't do it. It's that simple. All right, so you can see I've removed all of those spots. It's done a pretty good job, actually. It's a very, very quick edit. Now, I'm seeing something here that's bothering me. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a sign that says keep off the rock. I wouldn't have a clue. Maybe it's rubbish. Maybe it's a memorial sort of plaque, but let's just get rid of it. So it's gone. Don't like it. Alrighty. That's good. Looking good. Looking good. And then I've just got these people here that I don't know what to do with. Can I try and remove them? Let's just go to 2:1. Get my removal tool and see if I can clone them, if I can use the healing tool. I doubt it. I reckon this would be very hard for Lightroom to get rid of, but I could be wrong. Let's see if we can get Lightroom to work it out. Let's see what Lightroom puts in there. Come on, Lightroom. What are you going to do? Did a terrible job. Okay, so let's remove the feathering a bit because I was too close to the edge of that guy. There we go. It's actually not doing too bad a job, but the problem you have when you do this type of thing is you're going to end up with something that is a repeating pattern. So it's a good idea sometimes to go over it a couple of times in a couple of different ways and let Lightroom pick different things, but it's really too big an area. As you can see, it's making a real dog's breakfast of it. It's really too big of an area to try and remove, so I won't keep doing that. But you get the picture. Actually, it didn't do too bad. But yeah, it is definitely selecting something that doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's just do this and see what happens. The other problem I'm dealing with is it sort of lags a bit because all right, now we'll just try and fix the water. Because I'm live streaming, it's really lagging. So I'm making brush movements and it's doing it later. It's going to be a mess, that one, I think. Yeah, it's putting rocks where I don't want it. So let's see if I can put water there. All right. Pretty messy job on that, but that's all right. You get the idea. I would definitely remove them out. The other thing I like to do, which I'll just finish up with as we finish up, because we're just about out of time, is I like to add a bit of what I call a letterbox vignette. I don't know if that's a real term or not, but I add a graduated filter top and bottom with a bit of a dropped exposure like that. And then I think the sky needs a bit more warming up, so I would give the sky a little bit more of a hit. I'm going to need another Luma mask, and I need to get rid of the rock out of the mask because I don't want the rock to be in the mask. I'm going to change. There we go. So you can see by just bringing that up, I've masked the rock out of it. So let's just get rid of that, and I'm just going to change the tint on the sky a little bit, just because it's a bit green. Something like that. I don't know. I might be making it worse. Let's have a look. There we go. All right, let's go to lights out and have a look. Before and after. So there you go. Just a few tricks to give you some amazing results, but a really good photo there by Ren. There's a couple of people over here too that I would, or birds. Is it a bird or people? It looks like people. I would get rid of them. I've missed a spot there. That's okay. You get the idea. Overall, a really, really nice panoramic image. And with a bit of editing, you end up with something that you can't see in your camera. And if you didn't underexpose this image, you just wouldn't end up with this shot. So, you've got to, when you're out there shooting, you've just got to play to your highlights. If your highlights are blowing, underexposed, just underexposed. And this is a good reason why. If you saw this on the back of your camera, you'd probably go, oh no, I can't capture this. But you can see how much detail I have pulled out of the shadows. Now, I don't have the raw file, the original raw file. I'm using a DNG, which has been sort of processed to some degree by Ren, I suppose. But it's it's close to raw. I didn't get it out of camera though, but I think it's pretty much the original file. But you can see what you can pull out of it. So it gives you just a really good indication of what is possible when it comes to post-processing your images. So there we go. Good job, mate. Well done. All right. So there we go. There we go. All right, let's wrap up by having a look in the chat box. Just a reminder of a couple of things. If you do enjoy the Pixel Chatter show, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It does help. We love to get your thumbs up on the videos. Always when you enjoy a video, for any creator, not just me, give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it, because it encourages us to do more content. That's for sure. Yeah. Read your... I can see a note just come through from Bozeman. Read your histogram with some hashtags, meaning there's a word behind those hashtags. I agree. Read your histogram. So important. And not just your overall histogram, read your RGBs, because sometimes your camera will lie to you. And I'm going to do a video on that actually, because a lot of people don't realize that overall histogram is like an average of everything of some sort. I don't know how it works technically, but if you then go and look at your individual channels, your red, green and blue, quite often one of them can be overexposed. So you've got to read your RGBs, not just your overall histogram. So a couple of reminders. Yes, I've got those events up north. If you want to come to those, love to see you there. Just contact the photography club before you come to make sure it's okay. I'm sure they'll be okay with visitors coming along. Most of those clubs are. Just a reminder, the next Pixel Chatter will be on the 9th of March. So that's 3 weeks away. So what that means for the VIPs is you have 3 weeks for the next challenge. Tim Trim will be announcing the theme for that in the next 24 hours and sending me a private message, and I will make that happen. Well done to Brian and Ren, and thank you for sending your images in. I do need more images for critique. So if you would like to have your image critiqued live on the Pixel Chatter show, send it through to me. My email address is down below. Ren used a Dropbox link. I'm more than happy to download your images from that. Lightroom lets you send images. I don't care how you get them to me, but please make sure you include the EXIF information. That's how the shot was taken. If you're not sure what EXIF is, just email me and I'll help you through that process. And if it can be at least 3,000 pixels on the longest edge, that helps me when it comes to displaying it on my screen in a good size for the live stream to be able to watch and get the detail. Really, really appreciate those of you that have sent those in. If you want to join the VIP community, the very important photographer community, head to patreon.com/on3legs. And I love, having the VIP community. It's an amazing environment that we're creating, and very supportive. and just a great bunch of people. So if you want to get into a photography online group that is not full of bullfeds that haven't had to pay to be there, then the VIP group's a good place. And I think that's one of the reasons it's so special is that I get lots of requests for people to join the group, but I only let in the people that have actually become Patreons. And so we really do, it means that we only let those in that are willing to invest in themselves to be in there. As for the Fuji GFX 50R, there's a stack of videos I've done coming up with that. Yes, I did damage it. I dropped it. You're going to see that video coming up on YouTube in the next few weeks, so look out for that. Embarrassing as it is, it happens. So hopefully we could all learn something from my misfortune. And if nothing, we've learnt that the Fujifilm beat these things tough. On a final note, if you can see behind me, this side here, there's a bag sitting up here. That is the Wandered Provoke 31. I've had that on loan for a few months now from the distributors of that in Australia. I saw it at a sort of trade show thing I was at for Fujifilm and was really, really impressed. It was a Kickstarter in 2017, I think it was, or 2016, and I'd never seen them in the flesh, so I asked if I could borrow it, and he still hasn't asked for it back. And I've been using it, and I've got a video coming out hopefully Sunday night, so tomorrow night, of the bag. And if you're like me, bags are just one of those mysterious things that, I've struggled to find really good bags. And my f-stop bag's really good for all my vlogging kit, but it's too much of a bag for if I'm just going out doing photography. And this bag here, I think, is the answer to all my problems. So you'll see it on Sunday night, and you'll be able to... leave your comments on it anyway. All right, let's just one last check of the chat box. Catch you on Facebook, says Rick. Yeah, sure, Rick. Yeah, if you're not on Facebook, I'm pretty active on Facebook, by the way, and I do my best to reply to everybody's comments. And it's getting harder as more and more people comment, but I'm doing my best to go through on a daily basis and reply. So be patient with me if you have left a comment. I didn't get back to you. Brian, I thought you were going to do a giveaway of the Fuji. I don't think they'd enjoy that. I think that I would love to do some more giveaways. I did say a couple of weeks ago I was going to announce something pretty exciting, and I haven't finalised what I'm going to do yet, but I am looking into what I can do to support the VIPs with something special. So I will see if I can get it ready by the 9th of March when we come back. Mats is going back to the sack. Good night, mate. Thank you for joining us. Have a great 3 week, guys. Good help. Thanks, Rick. Great start of the weekend. Thank you. Thanks, Bose Bever. Thanks, Brian. Alrighty, let's wrap it up there. Thanks again for joining me live. I really do appreciate it. And head over to the channel. Make sure you check out some of the other videos that I've got on offer there. And until next time, get out there and take some photos. See ya.